Ange Postecoglou has kind of twisted what happened yesterday. Spurs lost, no real surprise. They weren't very good. Goalkeeper has a shocker to start things off. Villa could have actually scored a lot more than 2. This is what Ange Postecoglou had to say. Take 11 first-team players out of any team. How did Liverpool go today? They just did that for one game. Do that for 2.5 months. Any team do that for 2.5 months in multiple competitions. And of course, very much fighting for his life. This was in the press conference after the defeat. He's got a point, hasn't he, Jan?
Oh, he's got a point. And I think the key is the sentence you just said. He's fighting for his life. He's talking to Livy. He's talking to the fans. He has to survive. And they have been unlucky with injuries. But having said that, yes, they had a shocker after 2 minutes. But should you start like you did that first half against Aston Villa? There was nothing there. There was nothing. They were better in the second half. But of course, when you see an unavailable players, as we see here, it's terrible for him. Of course it is. And I think we can have a whole program how Livy has kind of built up Tottenham the last 10 years. The only thing they have in common, all managers, they have the same boss.
Shaka, looking at this, could he have done more with the players that he's got? Or has he just been dealt a really bad hand?
No question he's been dealt a bad hand. But also, I think he should be doing better with the players that he has. And while I get what Ange Postecoglou is trying to get at, I think it's a very different circumstance. Making 9 changes for a one-off game, there will be issues. Because you will assume that Arne Slot has not been working with this 9 for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
He's been working with his first team, then he decides we've got Plymouth, the team was struggling in the bottom of the championship, I'll make wholesale changes, but knowing fully well that I also have a very important league game, 72 hours later or 96 hours later, whatever it is. Ange Postecoglou, while he's been dealt a bad hand, yes, a lot of injuries. The players that he has, he's been working with day in, day out during the course of this injury crisis. It seems week in, week out, game in, game out, we're having the same criticisms about Spurs, that they lack identity. We're looking at them and we're not quite sure what it is they're trying to do. And then Postecoglou comes and says, well, it's because of the injuries. But you're working with this team.
Right.
And they're not getting any better. And so, again, for me, I think I love Postecoglou, and I think what he has been doing with Spurs has been outstanding. I still think he's the right man for that.
Outstanding?
Well, let me just finish what I'm saying. I still think he's the right man long-term for Spurs. Over the last 6, maybe 8 weeks, I have just felt that Ange Postecoglou has kind of
Unraveled?
Almost contradicted some of the good work that he's done. And not just contradicted in terms of coaching, but in terms of his messaging. What he says, well, we don't know exactly what he's saying to his team, but certainly what he's saying to the public about his team. And that, for me, has been the most disappointing, that Postecoglou himself has gone against a lot of what endeared people like me to him.
Mario?
Yeah, you know what? The thing is, what we talk about when it comes to Postecoglou. Of course, it's a sad situation where he's in. You know, the people are falling out. He's got to use the young boys, stuff like that. But there are just key things. I understand you have a system that you want to play. When you came to that club, they wanted to play a certain way, and that was clearly very evident. When he started, everybody was like, "Wow, it's refreshing the way he plays, open the way he played football and everything." But then you get the injuries, so then you got to reassess what you have and what you want to achieve. And I feel that he's waiting too long with that. Okay, let's say on the ball, I have a tactical setup and I make the pitch big and I spread everybody and I play them everything the way I want to do it. And then when I lose the ball, what do you do then? Because when you see him losing the ball, it's wide open in the middle. How come that your midfield has to help any of the young boys that are standing behind you? And of course, they bought someone, they're more experienced, but still, you have to help certain players. Then keep it compact when you lose the ball. He does not do that. He gets exposed. Okay, I understand. You play against a Villa side that has so many new players. And when they came on, you could see, the last couple of minutes, Asensio came on. We start tic-tacking with Rodgers. They start singing Olé and all this kind of stuff. Okay, let's take that out. Before that happened, it was already evident that his team is too stretched open. That has nothing to do with injuries. That has clearly to do with tactical side. When I was young, I was 19 years old. I might have understood the football the way when I was 26. But you have to talk to your players in the sense of, guys, listen, when we lose the ball, we all get together and we sit because we are not the team that we can get exposed. He does not do that. When they lose the ball, you see they're jogging back. Nah, this is impossible. You cannot win games like this. And he's going to get more. He plays Man United and then the big game. Guys, you can talk what you want, but the Ipswich game, for me, might not be trickier than the one against Man United for him.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what Mario says has been echoed by, I think, pretty much every single pundit I've spoken to about this on the show. So why doesn't Postecoglou do something about this midfield? Why doesn't he address this situation? He tried to play 3 defensive midfielders, obviously, in the game at Anfield. That didn't work. Are we just at a point where we have to say he's out of his depth?
Well, it's interesting that Shaka, Mario, we all start all sentences when we talk about Postecoglou. We say we love him. Because we do. We loved him, but he came to Tottenham. It was like summer love. It was like Greece. It was like John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
It's the honeymoon.
We loved everything about him.
We wanted to dance with him.
Yeah. I made my interviews with him. I loved the guy. But as you were saying, there comes a time when the identity, okay, there was an identity. Remember that Chelsea game where Jackson could have scored 9 goals in that game? And we start doubting, can you do that all the time? But it's very charming. I do understand Postecoglou when he talk about the injuries, and he's fighting a battle as a lot of coaches. But Tottenham has tried everything, haven't they? They tried Conte, they tried Mourinho, now Postecoglou. What next? Who will they go for?
Spurs, of course, gone through a lot of managers recently, as have Chelsea. And we thought maybe they'd find their man with Enzo Maresca, of course, a great start to the season for them. But boy, are they struggling at the moment. They lost against, this game was terrible. Brighton winning by 2-1. Both teams going strong, by the way. There's no resting players. Obviously, Nico Jackson's injured, but there was no kind of thinking elsewhere. It was just all about both teams going for it. Enzo Maresca afterwards, though, being out of the FA Cup, it's a shame, no doubt. If there's something positive, we can be focused on the Premier League and the Conference League. Hopefully we continue our journey there. Oh, Mario, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I would just not like hearing that focus on the Conference League. Shut up, man.
No, this is, look, I understood, the only thing we can give him is that he clearly said it when he was in the top 3. He said, like, look, guys, the team is not ready to win the league. So that's the only protection he has, I feel, you understand, as a coach. And clearly we know, like, I don't look at him and thinking, like, I have my doubts in him. No, I don't have my doubts in him. But sometimes I question in the way the team gets hurt. In the sense of, like, you play against Brighton. I know Brighton has established themselves, you understand, as a team that can push themselves right towards the top. But still, you are still Chelsea, and I think you have to control the game better. And I feel like when you play against teams like Brighton, it feels like sometimes it should not look that they are, in moments, look even like a better side. And that's questionable. Like, if you look, you understand, like, Sancho plays for them on the left. I have not seen a lot of danger from him. Neto was more active, you understand, and that's what he is every game when he plays in. Drewsbury Hall was kind of quiet for me, you understand. Caicedo I like, but this is the thing. And then at the back, you understand, when they conceded the goal, okay, Chalobah got caught by ball watching, watch one way, the ball clips right over his head, goal. So when I look overall at Chelsea, the key thing for Chelsea now is going to be that they have to bring some stabilism in the team, in the sense of, like, calm it down, guys, because I know you were winning and you were playing a certain way, but chill, like, take it down again and tactically set the team up that you can win things again, because if not, it's not gonna look as good what you have built and have fought for so long, and now you're going back to where you started at.
Yeah, I don't know what he has built, to be honest, because when they were going in this great run, when they were going up the table, they were fantastically entertaining to watch. Everything was vertical, everything was quick, everything, almost you felt every chance they had, they would create a really good opportunity. Now, they are so pedestrian, slow and sideways. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm thinking, how can we have gone from that style of entertaining football to what we're seeing now?
Yeah, that is a mystery because he has also the broader squad, so he can change people who's out of form. But when I was thinking, I saw this game and I've seen Chelsea in so many different games, Dan, and I'm thinking, what is going on in London? Can't they buy a goal-getter in London? Can't they buy a number 9 in London? Is the forbidden as Premier League done? Arsenal don't have a proper number 9. Chelsea spent all the money in the world. There is no one who can score when they're doing this pedestrian kind of stylish kind of language that you use there, Dan. But you can always have a striker who get it in there. And Kunku, yes, he's a good player, but he's not your number 9.
Yeah, let's start on that a moment. You watched Leipzig, where he was fantastic, tearing up the Bundesliga, all the big clubs in for him. He has done nothing, zero, since he's moved to the Premier League.
Hello, Sancho. Can you hear me? He did the same in Dortmund, so that is the same. But the problem for me, Dan, is that sometimes maybe I'm not old-fashioned because Pep Guardiola understood it that he needed a number 9. I can't believe that Arsenal and Chelsea, and I am a bit beside your question there, why they have playing so boring now. But at times when you're struggling, give me a number 9. Give me a guy who can score the goal. And Kunku, when he played in Leipzig, to be fair to him, Dan, he was not a proper number 9 when he was having a go in Leipzig. No. So not the same player.
Anything you want to add, Shaq?
No. Jan said it all.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
No, you've got me. Now you've got me going.
Go on.
Now you've got me going. Listen, from a Chelsea perspective, well, first of all, Maresca has to say that we're going to concentrate on the league. He has to. There's nothing else to say at this point. And I feel that Maresca, and to a point that Jan made about calling on the wider squad, he's almost boxed himself in here. Early in the season, when Chelsea were playing quite well, he made it known that I have my first team and I don't care about anybody else. And everybody was applauding that. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, you need some of those everybody else. You can't, because you've ostracized them to the point that you call them into the squad, they're going to be disruptive. They're not going to be playing for you. And now, so as fragile as you are as a team right now, you can't. And again, you talk about departures from, as we were with Postecoglou, things that made us fall in love with managers to all of a sudden where we are now. Just before Christmas, there was a genuine discussion as to, up to that point, who was the player, who was the manager of the season, whether it was Slot or Maresca. Now, all of a sudden, 6 or 8 weeks later, nobody's thinking about... Nuno. Exactly. Nobody's thinking at all about Maresca and the job. And how do you rescue this? And I'm as bemused as anybody as to Chelsea's fall off and Maresca's inability to correct it. Because, let's be honest, he took over a poor squad. He took over Chelsea that were underperforming last season, turned them into this team that all of a sudden had everybody excited and talking about are they title contenders, dip in form, and now he just does not seem to be able to rescue it as he did a few months ago. And that, for me, again, concerning.